Hello, hi, this is Sajid, and with me is Vijay Chundury, and Vijay works with RedHat, and he is the director with RedHat Cloud Innovation Center. So he heads the RedHat architecture. So Vijay is going to give a short intro about his role in RedHat. So Vijay has been associated with OpenStack community for past 1.5 years with us, working very closely. And we are going to discuss more about the open source engagement and the OpenStack engagement that he has been involved with his clients across the Asia Pacific and rest of the places. So Vijay, could you please introduce us?
Thanks, Sajid, for the opportunity to talk and to be present here at the event. Much appreciated. I actually started the Innovance India Development Center. It's a startup based in Paris. And we fortunately got acquired by RedHat, and now I work for the RedHat Cloud Innovation Campus, as you said. Primarily, my job is to look at Asia Pacific emerging technologies which want to move their workloads to cloud and help them do that. In the process, sell some RedHat products as well. But also my prime focus is network virtualization in the telco world. So that's where RedHat wants to get in, working with the prime telco vendors. I think they could do quite a reasonably good job on that.
So basically, you're more into the SDN and the NFV space, right?
That's right.
Can you please let us know something more about what's happening in this space?
Right. I don't want to take you through what is NFV, what is SDN. I think we've been there and done that, heard enough of people talk about that. But I can tell that the telcos in this region definitely have, they found perfect candidates to make sure that their data centers or their appliances that fall under the NFV purview, right? Same reasons, cost savings, better agility, service agility, and a lot of cloud advantages we get with all these service providers moving in the space of, they're no longer just telcos, but they're actually service providers for various services, right? So yeah, we see a lot of traction there. The areas where RedHat and the whole ecosystem will be working together is to help these guys take technology choices. There's so many things out there to solve a problem. So we need to make sure that this choice, the choice that this guy has to pick to solve his particular business need is the key aspect of what I do for RedHat Cloud and Virtual Practice.
Great. So there must be a lot of solution which is already there with RedHat, and there might be a lot of partner integration that you might be engaging for many other products, right? So Vijay, since there's a term called OPNFV, right? So we would like to know, like, what is the contribution you guys are doing on the OPNFV side, and what is the bigger impact it has with OpenStack?
Sure. So operators want to have the control they would like to have to build their infrastructure, and they're getting away from trying to just be vendors of black box solutions. OPNFV, you can think of it as a working group, upstream working group, which provides the reference architecture for such operators. Right now, the prime focus, it's driven by ETSI, and they have a working group, the standards, and things like that. But the prime focus right now is on the infrastructure layer, and getting the infrastructure layer tied up with the management part of OPNFV, so that you could have what we call appliances virtualized, right?
Great. So is RedHat actively contributing in the OPNFV, or they are driving?
Yeah, we are driving and actively. It's a big ecosystem, like just like OpenStack. We have Platinum, Gold, and other various levels of membership. RedHat is a Platinum member. Our prime focus is getting some of the tools that work for us in the enterprise and in the telco world to be introduced into the community. Like recently, we open sourced pBench. It is a kind of a performance benchmark harness, and performance, benchmark, security, and career grade readiness of the whole infrastructure is the key for operators, and that's where RedHat and the whole ecosystem are moving towards, and that's the participants.
So you spoke about a couple of reference architecture for OPNFV of the service provider. So is this all validated on top of OpenStack, or do you have many other open source version of cloud as well?
Right, good, great question. So Sajid, the default infrastructure as a service that gets into OpenStack reference architecture is OpenStack.
Wow.
Right?
Impressive.
So you can think about it as two communities trying to feed off from each other. So there is a telco working group within OpenStack trying to tell the OpenStack ecosystem the needs of these operators, and which is headed by RedHat. Steve Gordon leads that effort. So you can think of compute, storage and network getting its share of blueprints from OpenFE and giving these code changes back to OpenFE. Right? So all these reference labs have been built, and you have a lot of community labs getting hosted. So if you are a software vendor who wants to write a firewall appliance, you can just host it on OpenFE labs, validate it, you have the entire CI pipeline, CI/CD pipeline. So yeah, that's where the operators would like to get in. That's
very interesting. So it looks like there's a very amazing collaboration happening between OpenFE and OpenStack and other open source projects. Good, sounds interesting, Vijay. So the next question, as you have been engaged pretty well with the service provider, you meet a lot of clients around the world. So we would like to know, how does your service provider clients, what is their need to like, how does that choice matters, open source plus service provider?
Right. It's a couple of years ago, trying to sell an open source architecture or a solution to any service provider or any enterprise would have been a little challenging. Luckily, we've got past that problem. They understand what open source brings to the table. But the choices we have is to make sure the heterogeneous traffic starting from web, voice over IP to media, performance matrix, compliancy, regulatory mandates that these guys have, they all have to be kind of tested, regulated, and everything has to fall in place, right? So that's the challenge. So getting a feature parity working for, say that you have 4 features that require from an infrastructure perspective, you can easily kick them off. But when you actually want to have a holistic system of the platform and the security patches and the security system and the CI/CD system, this is where the service providers would require a lot of help from the ecosystem, and that's where the focus is as well.
Great. This really sounds very promising, and especially it would really boost the performance of open source when you actually validate on the service provider scale. That's the consumer scale we always wanted OpenStack to achieve. So thank you very much for your time, Vijay.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for everything, the contribution that you guys are doing, the thought leadership that you are bringing on the table, as well as the engagement that you have in the community. I look forward to such more engagement in future. Best wishes for everything that you do.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.